Good day, this is our video update, fifth video update for a tropical storm, Muifa or Bagyong Kabayan, still moving inside the Philippine area of responsibility. It is the 29th of July 2011, 8:30 Zulu, 4:30 Philippine time, 5:30 p.m. Japan time. We have Muifa moving across the Philippine Sea, well east of the Philippines, located 860 kilometers east of Catarman, eastern Samar. Maximum sustained winds of 95 kph, gusting to 130, moving north-northwestward now at 10 kph. So it is starting to turn poleward, or to the north, so to speak. Remember, yesterday it was moving mainly westward as it entered the Philippine area of responsibility. Now it is beginning to turn to the north, although at a slow pace here at just 10 kph, indicative of the ridge weakening, the Subtropical Ridge south of Japan, now weakening here. As for the infrared image, we still have this bursts of convective activity, very cold cloud tops near the center here, again colder than negative 80 degrees Celsius, so some very strong activity there near the center. Also, you can see here we still have 96W invest, a very weak invest off of Guam and off of Micronesia. It is not expected to develop, although still influencing Muifa here with regards to subsidence and wind shear. They are expected, the computer models are not in good agreement at all with regards to the interaction between these two systems, although climatology and common sense would suggest that the bigger would just absorb or the other. So in this case, we're expecting Muifa to win, become the dominant system here. They could absorb, in within the next 24 or 36 hours, and that is the main thing that is holding back Muifa right now. I mean, the environment here is very favorable, with the very warm waters in the Philippine Sea, so it could have been a typhoon by now, except for this wind shear and also dry air, and the influence by 96W just to the east of the system. But in terms of structure and development, Muifa is continuing that, and you can see in this microwave image taken about 4 hours ago, improved banding here in the lower levels. You can see that almost circular there, you can make out almost a microwave eye. Still doesn't have activity here in the northern half, as I said, with the subsidence there still. And this is the latest microwave image, about taken just 2 hours ago, and you can see it improved greatly. This was about 4 hours ago, and this is 2 hours ago. So again, covering that seems to be an activity beginning to form in the northern periphery of the storm center. But still is the bulk of the activity still remains south, mainly to the south of the center. You can also see it in the IR image. See, the center is here, right around here. The activity extends to the south of the storm center. You can also see actually the Philippines we still have the rains affecting western half of Luzon and Visayas. Also here, some rains being enhanced by Muifa as it pulls that southwest monsoon again towards central Visayas, and also here in Mindanao. In terms of direct impact, we are not expecting any type of deluge or strong winds that we've experienced from Nocten or Waning. But just a reminder, we're going to see some strong waves along the eastern seaboards, and also the risk for rip currents there. And as it moves north, the threat will continue for eastern Luzon, including the Bicol region, for the next 2 to 3 days there. Going back to the microwave image, we have again here the 85 gigahertz, and it's showing the mid to upper levels, and you can also see banding along the eastern and southern half of the storm. The northern half still open, so to speak, and still waiting for the activity to form there. But in terms of structure and development, this is definitely improving. intensifying definitely in terms for Muifa, and we do expect this to become a typhoon in the next 2 days as it moves northward there. Now moving on to the forecast, which has again been a headache for the past 2 days here with computer models, still yet to come to a very good sort of consensus or agreement. Although we're seeing some sort of improvement with regards to the track. We have GFS and NOGAPS showing mainly Muifa to track across their UQs. We have the UK Met forecasting actually south of Okinawa here. And we have the northern outlier, the CMC model, showing a landfall in Kyushu by late next week. Expecting Muifa to remain a weak typhoon. Isn't blowing it up that much. CMC definitely a relatively weaker storm this run, but in terms of the other models, GFS and NOGAPS showing a strong typhoon hitting their UQs there. And also again we have the Euro model, the ECMWF latest forecast, and by Thursday morning Philippine time, you can see here the center of Muifa will be moving just south of Okinawa, and it is forecast by the ECMWF to move into northern Taiwan by Friday morning as a strong typhoon. This is around 57 meters per second being depicted by the Euro model here. So I'd say Cat 2 or Cat 3 typhoon by late next week as it moves northward and then take a sudden turn to the west. So I'm sure those are the models that I showed. You can see the consensus mainly near the Okinawa and the UQs. We have the northern outlier being Kyushu, and we have the southern outlier from the ECMWF showing a Taiwan landfall. So yeah, definitely anyone from Taiwan all the way to southern Japan to the islands of Kyushu and Shikoku needs to keep an eye on this one. It's still 5 to 6 days away, so lots of changes. Expect lots of changes and major changes at that in the coming days or so you get more and better handling in terms of the data for the computer models. And we're seeing all these differences in track and uncertainties in the medium to long range. So what is causing this is what is called the weakening of the subtropical ridge here in Japan. You see in this steering layer map, you have the ridge that has been influencing Muifa to track westward yesterday, and also actually influencing as far west as NOC 10 here, moving westward towards Hainan. Now it is weakening. It is showing some weakening for the past 6 to 12 hours, and we've seen that as well with Muifa, with the slowing of the forward speed from 30 kph yesterday down to 10 kph now. Also we've seen it turning more to the north with the latest update. So that ridge is now beginning to weaken and give way because in response to the trough moving in, this mid-latitude trough moving in. This ridge, the GWC calling it the near equatorial ridge, because it is situated near the equator, is now going to assume the steering mechanism, becoming the dominant factor for the steering for Muifa. So what will happen is it will turn Muifa and steer it mainly to the north, or a poleward track towards southern Japan. However, once it crosses the 20 or 25 degree latitude in the next 3 days, this ridge will move slightly to the east and then will re-strengthen again as the trough moves away from the area. So once that ridge builds back in, it will re-strengthen again. So it will act as a blocking mechanism for Muifa. So blocking it and then turning. So with Muifa running into that high subtropical ridge, it will then turn westward, either towards Okinawa, either to Ryukyus or the Taiwan or the Shikoku Kyushu area. The critical part of this is the strength and the timing of all these sequences, the weakening of the ridge, strengthening of the near equatorial ridge, moving of the trough, and also that re-strengthen and reorientation of the ridge to the east-south of Honshu. If again showing you the differences in the models, mainly because they are expecting different timings with regards to the sequences that I've mentioned. But taking the consensus, I mean the general idea is that ridge will weaken and then re-strengthen back again by late middle of next week, turning mound to the west. When that happens is, as I said, critical, because and if it strengthens a little bit early, it could turn Muifa towards Taiwan. If it strengthens a little later than forecast, you could see Muifa track towards southern Japan by late next week. But again, this is still far away, 5 to 6 days away. So once we see the ridge definitely going to weaken in the next 24 to 36 hours, and we see this ridge assuming the steering, and then also getting a data on the trough moving away, we will have a better handling, better forecast and better outputs from the computer models. But as I said, areas from Taiwan all the way to southern Japan needs to watch this. This storm Muifa, as it moves into that region. Now, in terms of strength, as I said, it is expected to become a typhoon. Muifa is situated under an anticyclone or clockwise flow. Also, some weak shear just ahead, just north of Muifa. Right now we still have around 10 to 20 knots of wind shear, northeasterly wind shear. So as I said, I showed you the microwave images. The northern periphery still suffering from that shear and subsidence as well. But as it moves north, expect conditions to become favorable. And also, as that ridge weakens, JTWC also expecting a weakening shear in this area, and also that dry air moving away. For the sea surface temperatures, this area is still fertile, very favorable for tropical cyclone development, very warm waters all the way to southern Japan actually. So if it does head north, you still expect Muifa to continue intensify. In terms of the computer models, they are actually I would say conservative in terms of the forecast intensities, mainly between 65 to 80 knots peak intensity. If you take a look at the consensus, that translates to Cat 1 or a high-end Cat 1 or a low-end Category 2 storm. The European model is showing a very strong typhoon, about Cat 3, as I said before, and also the GFS also blowing it up to around Cat 2 there. Could it reach super typhoon? We don't know that yet. I mean, though it is a low chance based on the trends right now, due to 96 west, 96 W, and also the shear in the area. So it's pronounced northward movement. But again, Cat 1 or Cat 2, this must not be taken lightly by the areas that will be affected next week. Moving to the forecast agencies, we have here JTWC again showing that northward turn and westward track towards either north of Okinawa or the Ryukyus. Also expecting Muifa to become a typhoon as early as Sunday morning, Philippine time. Also, we have here JMA showing the general northward movement towards the Okinawa and the Ryukyus by late next week. It should exit the Philippine Air Responsibility based on these tracks by Tuesday morning Philippine time. We have here the PAGASA forecast a little bit faster compared to JMA and JTWC forecasting it actually exiting by as early as early next week around Monday here. So keep an eye on that as well. But in terms of effects, no major landfall, no direct effects and direct impacts from Muifa or Kabayan, which is a good news for the Philippines there. So that is the forecast for today. We will have another update tomorrow same time for Muifa. So until then, bye bye.